Hey folks, welcome in. It's Babbaginator, and we're in the Long Dark. Currently chilling. See what we got down here. We're in the bunker. Don't need any of this stuff. It's a new day. Oh, almost out. 5. Do you need that many flares? No. Let's go and fix our level.
This pack is getting too heavy to carry.
Oh, sounds like it just got nasty out there. Okay. Getting incrementally better. Let's see here. Dog food.
I can barely walk with this much gear.
A little risky, but we'll take it. No food poisoning. Okay. And we'll just move a little closer to the exit. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. Okay. We have deer out here. I just remembered I forgot to post on Twitter that we're starting up here. Day 24 of our... Okay, let's see. Just putting a quick little post. So that if people are following on Twitter, they can find me during tonight's stream. Meantime, welcome in lurkers. We're just doing a little harvesting. Completing our challenge. Well, we're about halfway through our challenge. Another 25 days to go. Our plan is to go to Sundered Pass, which we haven't done yet. So we got a long road ahead of us. I've done zero research into Sundered Pass. Maybe an absolutely terrible idea. We'll find out. But we're doing a completely, we'll post that in here as well, do completely random challenge. Hey, welcome in, Susie. Good to see you. Oh, there you go. Hope you're doing well. Playing Baldur's Gate 3. Have you been talking to the cats? We had a... I'm at UBC right now doing a master's in library and information science, and we just had some job candidates come through, people interviewing for a professor position in the program, and one of them knew about The Long Dark. Yeah, that was kind of cool. Instant win in my books, right? Supporter of the game. No, he was saying that, oh, he was saying, I think he started playing Baldur's Gate after he finished his dissertation. And I told him that I hadn't bought Baldur's Gate because I started the degree. I was like, you know, if I buy this right at the start of my degree, I'm just not going to get anything done. So I'm holding off until after I graduate. Though it's been tempting. Very tempting. But of course, they haven't offered a deal that's been good enough for me to, like, break completely free. Yeah. Someone gifted you Baldur's Gate 3. Well, then you gotta play, right? You gotta play. Someone gifts you something, right? Yeah, it's like, well... it would be disrespectful if I didn't take advantage of the gift, right? I feel obligated, totally, yeah. Completely feel obligated. Oh. So, in about a week and a half from now, I will be in my new apartment.
It's getting dark out here. Time to look for shelter.
Which is kind of exciting. Technically, I'll have both apartments for the month. And I'll be trying to move stuff over a bit at a time, but still. Kind of cool. New place. Oh, why can't we start a fire here? No, we can. No, we can. Okay, weird. I DM a lot. I'm actually running 2 separate games right now. I will not be on tomorrow night because I have my Tuesday game is going to be on Thursday this week due to some scheduling challenges. But yeah, I've been running D&D games for a long time. During the early part of the pandemic, all my consulting work basically dried up, and I had nothing else to do. So I ran 5 different D&D campaigns at the same time, one on each different night of the week, and with different people. With a little bit of overlap in a few places, but it was mostly writers and academics and artists and musicians, and it was absolutely wild. I would not recommend doing that. That was kind of a special case where I was desperate to do something, and I also saw that I had a lot of friends that were desperate to get something that distracted them from the pressures that they were on, and I felt like this was a good way to do it. So, yeah. So, well, part of what helped was I ran them, most of them centered on the same, like broadly speaking, they were all in the same homebrew world, and they had overlapping plots. So, like, things that happened in one campaign would have an indirect impact on things that were happening in another campaign. Not so much so that they were dependent on each other, but enough that it would help me figure out what was happening in the world at the same time. So I kind of used one campaign to help world build stuff that was happening in the second campaign. If I needed a villain or a faction to be a threat, if I'd already developed it in another campaign and it was a loose thread, hey, why not? Why not do that? So yeah, I did stuff like that. And I also had, like, I would say 3 that were, usually what it would be 3 campaigns were active, longer campaigns. Like, I would say they were mid to long campaigns. So they would be anywhere between 12 and 28 sessions. And then I had a number of short intro campaigns that I would run for people that were either new to the game or hadn't played in many years, and or just didn't have the time commitment to do something longer. And so I'd run these one-offs that were meant to be 1 to 4 sessions in length that I developed as well. And I would keep running them. So I'd run them in rotation. So after running them a few times, it wasn't too bad because I pretty much knew I'd written the module, I knew what was going to happen in theory, and of course everyone takes it off the rails, but the world building had again largely been done, and it was just adjusting to people's changes and weird eccentric solutions to things that I didn't plan on. But yeah, there are strategies for managing that many campaigns at the same time. If you run into professional DMs that are running like games every single day, sometimes multiple games a day, almost guaranteed they're running pre-published modules that they have run many, many times already and have completely annotated and largely memorized. And so they can focus on the role playing, they can focus on like the improvisational elements that make it feel like a live, active game and not simply like reading canned text. And so that's how they've managed to do it. Because if you were saying that you were a pro DM that ran like 5 or 10, ongoing homebrew campaigns that were all separate and different, I would say, I don't believe you. I don't believe you could do that. I think you have to have some sort of strategy to make that work. And whether it's like setting them all in the same place and recycling NPCs and settings, or even plots, or that you're borrowing from a well-written existing campaign setting and modules and have researched them well enough that you don't really need to do that much work. Yeah. Yeah, and you have to accept the fact that if you decide to be a pro DM, I mean, I don't know why we're talking about pro DM, but I had it come up before. Someone asked if I was interested in doing it professionally, and I said, I like DMing, but the reality is that it's rarely worth it in terms of the amount of time you spend put into prep, added with the time that you spend on running the game, added with the money you invest in materials. Unless you live in a major urban center or are very comfortable and very skilled at running online games in a fashion that people are really happy with. Like, one of the solutions I did for running my campaigns was I ran them as voice-only campaigns. No webcam at all. No map even, a lot of times. We just used Discord, and I would post in, maybe sometimes if we needed an overhead map of an area so that some strategic decisions could be made or some sort of planning could be done. I'd post the bits and pieces of the map, but it wasn't essential for there to be exact placement. We weren't doing a war game, and we weren't caring about like exact placement. We just really needed to know, like, are you adjacent? Are you close? Are you further away? Or are you completely out of range? And kind of resolve that. Hey, Hyperman, welcome in. Welcome in, Raiders. Huzzah. Thanks for joining us tonight. We are kind of chilling right now.
Or did I close it? I thought I left it open. Oh my god! What? 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 That's... That's gotta be one of the single most terrifying... Oh, God!
Ghost door, yeah.
Oh my god! What is with this door? That was really creepy. That was really creepy.
So we were just talking about, right before you came, Raiders came in, we were just talking about running multiple D&D campaigns at the same time, and pro DMs that do that, and some of the strategies that they do that. And what I did when I was running multiple campaigns during the early pandemic, one of the things I did was I did mine, I was running 5 campaigns a week with different groups and different storylines. and which I don't advise. It was a lot of work, but really, my consulting work had dried up for the early part of the pandemic because everyone was just panicked and they didn't want to sit down and talk about their writing. They were just absolutely, terrified of what was going to happen next. Visions of zombie apocalypse, I think, were generally what we were talking about. So anyways, yeah, I ended up, one of the strategies was like have one homebrew setting and multiple plots that intersect so that the world building you do in one campaign shortcuts, gives you a shortcut into world building the other campaigns. And unresolved threads that you introduce in one campaign can be useful as factions or troubles or whatever you want to do in the other campaign. So you kind of cross-pollinate in that way. And I found that was really effective. It saved me a lot of time to do it that way. But the other thing I did, which doesn't work for everyone, was I ran my campaigns completely voice-only, like radio play style. And I think part of why that worked was, one, I have previous experience in podcasting and radio work, so I'm comfortable using my voice, and I'm a writer, I'm a poet, so I'm comfortable describing things. I've also put a lot of thought into how you structure narrative description and how do you improvise narrative description so that it's compelling for people who are listening. And it's different than how you read it on the page. The experience you have as a listener at a table or listener in a chat is going to be different than how you read something on the page, how you encounter it. We don't have the ability to rewind, right, when we're listening. We're like, it unfolds in real time before us. And we have like goldfish-like memory. We're not going to hold everything in our mind at the same time. So like realizing those things, make those adjustments so that your descriptions are compelling and inviting, that they provide an invitation to interact in some way. So I did stuff like that. And most of the people I was writing games for were writers themselves, people that were used to verbal description. And so for them, it was convenient. Plus, a lot of them had spent the whole day in Zoom conferences and meetings. They really didn't want to be on camera again. So that's why we did it that way. Okay, someone has requested what we got here. Triple Wood has asked for Baba Bark, Bark, Bark. There you go. So I do offer that as an option. Other things you can do. Do I have a whole set of commands? I can't remember if I put them in there. You can find a list of commands. Okay, that's not very helpful. Oh well. So basically, yeah, you could request other things. I am a writer. I'm also a former computer games programmer, and like I was talking about, a longtime DM and D&D player, creative writing coach. And I'm currently back in school doing a master's of library and information science. I keep saying library and information science, and I recently looked at the website and it says library and information studies. So I think it used to be called library science, and now it's called library and information studies. And I keep saying it wrong, so oh well. Okay. We're good, folks. What do we got here? Porch. Do what? So yeah, we're in the middle of this rather silly challenge in which we get a custom code for a completely randomized custom setting run, in which we don't know what the settings are when we start. So we start the run with just the code, and we've got 50 days to figure out all the settings, or as many of the settings as we can. And we have, in that 50 days, we have to forge and make a bow, and then travel to an exit place, which is usually on the opposite side of the map from wherever we started. So in our case, we started in FM. We went and visited, I actually probably should update this. We went to Basin, we went to to Milton. We went to, I think we did the climb down. Then we did Mystery Lake. Then we went back to FM. Now we're getting ready to go to Broken Railroad, I think is our next stop here. And so far we found like the following things. That starting gear was probably high. We had a lot of really good stuff to start with. Matches and bedroll and hand coverings. Yeah, we were doing okay. Recovery, well, sleeping is good. We're like medium or high. Baseline resource level, what we find in the world, pretty good. You can tell from our gear, we're doing pretty well. Blizzard frequency is probably our biggest trouble right now, is that it is high or very high. So it is almost constantly windstorms and blizzards. That's not fun. Freezing rate is low, so we can stick it out in the cold for some time. Passive wildlife, we verified last stream. We do have passive wildlife. We ran into a bear, and the bear ran away. So there's that. No wolves. We got 0 wolves, which is kind of weird. And does cut into our archery since we don't have like easy targets that run towards us. We have seen bears, so we know that they're there, but they don't seem to spawn very often. Rabbits are medium, deer probably medium or high. Moose we have yet to see. So that's kind of what we're up to right now. And we're on day, I think, 25 now? Yeah. So we're officially at the halfway point. So we do, if you're interested in other like crazy challenges that I put up, or if you're interested in doing a completely randomized custom challenge, I wrote a little custom setting random generator in JavaScript a while back, and that's free for anyone to use and play around with. So you're welcome to give it a run. The most of it will produce random settings for the standard TLD custom runs. There's another section at the very bottom. I probably should make this its own tab, where you can get a custom survival code that is based on a previous running of that custom code generator or custom settings generator, in which I've taken those settings, plugged them into TLD, and generated the code, then saved the code out, and then built a bank of these codes, all completely weird, random custom runs. And you can choose to get one of those custom codes, put it into your run, your new custom run, and start off and not look at the settings and just begin. I recommend that. It's a really fun way to play the game because you have no idea until after you've been going for a little bit, like, what your situation is. Are you going to be screwed? Did you get like endless night with very high wolves and timber wolves and bears? Did you get a run with next to no harvestable plants and next to no and no deer or rabbits whatsoever? Did you get like one of the other crazy ones where it's auroras constantly and wolves are hunting you? So there's lots of weird ones that you can get. And then there's a few that turn out to be super tame. Like this one's pretty tame other than the blizzard problem. Blizzard problem, and I feel like we need more saplings, and we've not been getting a lot of saplings lately. So how was your run, Hyperman? What were you up to? Let's see if I missed that earlier. Scary doors. Yeah. Yeah, if you want to go back to that conversation about running online D&D, I do think that having access, there's a lot of great virtual tabletops to use these days, and some of them are very, very, very like simple in terms of it's an easy learning curve to learn them. So like you can do a lot with Owlbear Rodeo, you can do a lot with the built-in maps program that's in You know, the built-in maps that's in the D&D Beyond is not bad, and it integrates directly with your with the characters in the party and the combat, so that's kind of nice. It's still missing a lot of features, but not bad. But I haven't spent the money to do Foundry or some of the other ones that cost actual money. Why, I think, is mainly because I find that here's the problem. I run my games to be very flexible, very, like, I adapt on the fly. I improvise a lot, to respond to players, the party's decisions to go places or do things that I didn't anticipate. I try to make it feel like they've got a lot of freedom and that I can adapt to whatever they throw at me. And because of that, I find that a lot of, like, virtual tabletops don't work for me because stuff changes too quickly for me to depend on, like, a completely laid out combat, like, that's been mapped out all entirely. I would say that it would work if we had more, like, in some cases it will work, like if they're just kind of plug and play encounters, that they're just going to drop into a random roadside encounter, or a random, crossing through the wilderness encounter type thing. And it's like you can just drop it in and it'll make it work. But other things are harder to make work. And especially if you decide to go really off the rails and do something that you didn't anticipate. I have a party that loves alternating between the sewers, the urban center, and like a forgotten temple. So there's basically 3 sources of encounters, and very, very different in terms of what's happening with the world building for them. So do I just have a bank of, like, around 25 encounters to cover all the different possible configurations that they might take on, and adapt the fact that, I had planned for this encounter when they were level 3 and they're now level 6. Now I've got to go and modify everything again. I'm going to have to do that in D&D Beyond. The combat, like the map, probably won't have to change that much. But if it's different, like if they decide that they're recruiting a whole bunch of people to help them out, then there's like a lot of new minis. So it's a lot of new figures on the board. And I feel too, like, once you lay out a combat, then you're kind of committed to the way it's laid out. If it's done completely as verbal description, you can make slight edits and adjustments on the fly. And people will go along with most of them. Like, not super dramatic ones, but like little things. You can also make decisions about how quickly, or if at all, you're going to introduce reinforcements for the enemy. Anyways, I don't know if anyone else wants to listen to me talk shop about encounter design and 5th edition. Normally we're talking about poetry, or we're talking about the history of technology. That's usually our bread and butter. That's what we do. I wrote my entire dissertation on 19th century artificial intelligence, and basically looked at how the machine became a person in the Victorian imagination. It's great. I'm deeply fascinated by that. I could talk about that for hours and hours and hours. Probably could talk about it more back when I was fresh out of my PhD. Nowadays, I probably have it take a little bit more prep time to talk for hours and hours. Still talk for at least an hour. What do we got here? Why are we still so heavy? 54. Yeah. I don't think he saw. No, when we were choosing the cover, my father had already passed away, so the cover was chosen afterwards. He knew about the photo. I don't think I had realized at that moment that that image was going to be the cover of the book yet. You know, what's interesting is the book originally had a completely different title in a different direction. When I first started working on the book, this was like 3 years before my father passed away and before I finished the book. But 3 years previously, the idea for the book was really a lot less organized and a lot less thematically clear. And instead it was vaguely something about migration and movement and kind of a, you know, sort of modern experience of being, you know, I guess what people call like a nomad, right? In the sense that I'd grown up internationally, moving around a lot, and even within Canada had moved around a lot. So much so that there was no one place I could ever point to and call home. And so I found that experience definitely shaped me. And so I was writing poetry about that. And I think the image that I had in my mind was from a classical Chinese poetry, like hermit poetry. The image in my mind of the story of Li Bai, or Li Po, depending on who you talk to, falling out of his fishing boat and drowning while toasting the moon. So the original title for the book was The One Boat. And I went to a writing retreat in 2005, I think it was. And my roommate at the retreat asked me what I was thinking about naming the manuscript. And I told him The One Boat. He said, I don't think that's the title of the book. You know, he had heard me read from some of the poems from that collection. So he was like, I don't think that's it. And I went to bed, and then the next morning I woke up and I was like, it's called The Lost Country of Sight. And he said, that sounds more like it. And it was just really interesting that, like, just one person's comment that kind of pushed me back, reconsidering, you know, something I'd taken for granted, had led me into, like, I basically dreamt the title up, and that was the direction it went. So it wasn't. I'm not going to
be able to carry this load for much longer.
You know, you say that a lot, Astrid, but I think you've got it in you to do it. Okay. Yeah, if people are wondering what we're talking about cover-wise, here, I'll bring it up for a second. Oh, I guess it's over here. So this is the cover of my first book of poetry, The Lost Country of Sight. And it's a photograph of the wreck of the Peter Iredale in Astoria, Oregon, on the beach. And I took the photo at the exact moment when I was looking at the shipwreck, looking out towards the ocean. I took the photo, and as soon as I clicked the photo, I looked at it, and I realized my father had stepped into the frame right at that moment He's perfectly framed in this little window in the shipwreck. And years later, when I was finishing the book and my father was in the last stages of ALS, of Lou Gehrig's disease, and literally fading, disappearing, as his body was shutting down, I was working on the final version of this book and writing more as I was aware of my father's impending death, and feeling sort of that weight of grief, trying to write my way through that. And then after he passed away, and I sent off the book manuscript for another round of contests and open submissions, I got word that the book had been accepted and had won the Philip Levine Prize. And then they asked me, what did I want to put on the cover? And that was the moment when I thought back to this particular image. And I said, I really feel like this is what I want for the cover, but I feel like it should be a painting. And the cover designer said, yeah, I could do that. And so she transformed it into a digital painting. So that's how that happened. Yeah, so now you're not left in the dark about what we're talking about for cover. Oh, Nunia wants I think Baba Bwak has overtaken my cat noises for popularity. Partly because I ended up just recording the cat noises so people can redeem them whenever they feel like it. And I think at the time I had roommates, and I was worried that I would annoy them by making cat noises at night. So live cat noises went away for a while. It's because it's cheaper. Oh, so this is an economics question. I have made it cheaper, so therefore people want to use the blah blah blah. Yeah. Well, I should sit down, I think, the next few weeks as we're like settling into the new place and figuring out how to arrange the new space. I might as well also think about, like, if I want to change up the redeems and the prices. Yeah. It's so weird to have a TLD run with no goals, because you wander through places where you expect to be ambushed and there's nothing. So you wander around, and if you're warm, like you're ridiculously warm like we are right now, 27, our modifier is 27, so the total is, yeah, improve 14. We feel like 15 right now. It's just like, yeah. But yeah, I used to do cat noises. I probably could throw some in. Some freebies for tonight. We get more of an angry, annoyed cat. The inquisitive cat. Yeah. That's just super heavy right now. I am very anxious. We're at 54 out of 35. I'm not certain what I can blame anymore. We're pretty lightweight for clothes. That's not bad. And this is heavy. We've got a lot of sticks right now, I guess. it'll be great to finally get done with our kindling. Like, how close are we right now? Fire starting. We're getting there. Once we dump that, that'll save us a little bit. But yeah, I'm feeling like probably we already dropped the hammer too, so it's like, what are we carrying that's so heavy? We got mushrooms and these guys, but that's not it. It's sticks, I think, is a big one. It's these guys, the flour. Yeah. We don't even have any oil left right now. We should just dump the flour at the Broken Railroad maintenance yard for now. Yep. So I was a little late getting on tonight because I was meeting with my composer as we're working on the opera project. So we are getting close. We've got most of the heavy edits, the big edits have been done now on the text side, and I think we're having a meeting in a few more weeks to kind of revisit and see if there's anything else we need to pick up, but it should be really light polishing at that point. And then there's maybe a couple more scenes where we have to do some fine tuning. And a big one is really it's really presentation. It's just figuring out a better way to... Oh, we forgot to take this side road. Oh well. I think it's actually possible to get up here. Maybe. Maybe not. Okay, we'll have to backtrack. Wasn't paying attention. I walked right past the place where we were supposed to turn down. Turn down for what? Turn down for access. Oh, this is bad. All this is too high. I want to break Astrid's little ankles. Okay, there we go. What do we feel like? Get rid of the last of this one.
Oh, the stomach.
Oh, give me a break.
Hurts.
How do you get food poisoning from that? No, that's not going to be good. Figures. Yeah, we're going to pay the price now. Take food poisoning, condition damage while we travel to the destination. Super heavy. Hey, Nunia, did you try the misery setting yet? Misery challenge level for TLD? What was your experience with it? Yeah, don't fall off. Don't fall off. Really? Oh, Astrid. Astrid's suddenly really fragile. Yeah, I did one misery run. I mean, it was interesting. It was definitely a challenge. But yeah, I think it would be very different with the cougar in there. And I should hope that I have better luck than I did the time that I did it, right? Because I don't think anyone should go 41 days without a bedroll. I was like, I didn't need to make misery even more miserable by not having a bedroll for 41 days. No bedroll and no bow for the whole 41 days I survived. It was like, what a disaster. I was like watching other people. Oh, they're misery runs. Look at them. Look at them. Look at them hunting. Yeah, that didn't happen at all. No hunting for me. And I killed 2 ptarmigan. And I got to cooking 5. Purely on teas and canned goods and books. Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like I would be interested in custom misery. Like making a challenge around custom misery. But I don't think I enjoy, at least not at this point. I'm not like enthralled by it. And it's partly because I don't really enjoy Nagoa, so... what I really want is I want like a setting somewhere between Interloper and Nagoa. And so I keep coming up with these weird custom challenges to push myself, but at the same time, not get to the point where it's absolutely, like, feels well, I mean, it's always unwinnable, but it feels, you know, just like I stopped enjoying the game. I'm just playing it to be punished. You know, the challenge I had where, like the Cave Dweller challenge, where I could only sleep in caves, mines, and outdoor spaces. That was really hard. That's basically Nagoa. And it got frustrating after a while, because I kept losing runs to stupid things.
Oh, rest suit. I'm gonna faint.
Yeah, a drink warming simulator is what it basically amounts to. You know, to stay alive. I've been thinking about other like challenges and challenges within challenges, and I thought like maybe I'll do a challenge where there's like every 10 days the challenge changes. You know, so like you roll a die and you get some new wrinkle to it. It'd be a little bit like I don't know if you've ever played Flux, where there's like, you know, the rules keep getting introduced, and some of the rules override other rules. But I think that might be an interesting, you know, like every week, maybe every 7 days, you have to roll again, and it introduces a new rule that might override a current rule, or it might further restrict you in some way. And then just see how you fare, like operate under that, constantly shifting.
So tired.
I don't know. See, I come up with weird things to keep myself entertained. So. Yeah, I mean, roll with it is a challenge where the goalposts keep moving, in the sense that you, at first, it's like a shorter amount of time to stay in each region, even though it's random, and then later it gets longer, and for transition zones it gets longer and longer and longer until it eventually goes up to 10 days. So I think like that really forced me to learn a whole different range of strategies for coping with super short or super long stays. If I really wanted to YOLO this because I'm pretty confident in how warm my stuff is, I'd be tempted to just sleep for 10 hours outside to beat the food poisoning. But I think that might be a little... this way is madness, right? We'll do that and say, like, oh, it's perfectly foggy out. We should be able to sleep for 10 hours in this. And then it hits in a blizzard, and it turns into an Arctic blizzard, and then suddenly I'm freezing to death and die. So yeah, we're not doing that, even though it is tempting. I mean, I have done on this run a few times where I just stood outside of the, you know, trappers or something like that with a book and read for 5 hours straight. Because it was like, yeah, it can't possibly get cold enough to actually kill me in that 5 hours. But we're heading into territories where it will get very, very cold. So, in other news, I have been doing some more work today on our group project for school, where we've been writing a text adventure in the style of Zork. You know, classic text adventure game where you have to, you know, you have command line prompt and you just type in stuff that you're doing. And so, yeah, I've been able to get most of that working at this point. I just integrated in one of my teammates' code for the combat and, you know, attacks and combat side of things. And then did some work on it so that it would be able to externalize all the definitions for the monsters So, looking good. So I think maybe in the end of next week or the week after, it'll be at a state that I feel like I could probably show you guys it online. I might wait until after I submit it. But yeah, it's interesting. Most of my work has been around integrating the parts and then also doing the command handler, the command line handler. But also strategizing about how to better organize data. Well, what kind of data structures of storage we're using, and how to handle the different objects and structures. But it's funny, we're like this far ahead of things. Our Monday is when we're supposed to present our proposal for the project. And we've already got a semi-working prototype. So I feel like if I could have, like, finish over the weekend, like, I need to solve a couple of problems. And I'm waiting for, like, one of my other teammates to turn in his code and his ideas for how to handle item definitions, so we can, like, externalize some of the descriptions and interactions. I basically taught him object-oriented programming in about, like, 20 minutes. So, like, hopefully he gets the gist of what to do. But yeah, but it'll be fun. I want to spend, like, get it done early, and then spend a ton of time just adding in Easter eggs and other weird stuff, because that's where it's fun. Okay, let's keep on moving here. It's a shame we saw no saplings on the way in. We probably should have taken the lower route, but... I mean, in theory, you could just sleep in this truck here. Might want to do that, actually. How warm are we? Feels like 25. We're awesome in here. Okay, let's see. What can we do for food? We already got food poisoning. Might as well go all the way, right? We're so weak right now. We're 30 pounds, 32 pounds over, or 32 kilos over. Not recommended. Okay, but we're super warm, so we're just going to, sleep here. Don't mind me, we're just going to sleep inside of the truck outside. And guess what? We're still warm. Can I read in the dark? No, can't read in the dark. We're at 52. Now let's figure out what we can get rid of here. Okay, we've got lots of stuff to craft. Or somewhat improved. Let's finish off another book.
What do you know? Looks like I survived another night.
Where are we at now? Cooking 4. Moving along. So our main goal right now is just to find a lot of saplings so we can make more arrows. This is our current bottleneck, because we just don't have enough. Now, if I recall correctly, there is a stash somewhere that has arrow shafts, so we can look for that. Maintenance yard without wolves. Strange sight. Double check this one. That gift.
I think I can use this.
Oh, there we go. Mento up at the lake, so that would be at the hunting lodge.
This'll come in handy.
Snow pants. Score.
What have we here?
Okay.
Well, this stuff will come in handy.
Debatable.
Hope nobody needs this anymore. I'll take it.
We can drop some of this stuff here. Okay. What? You can do better, Astrid. Oops. I guess we're drinking the... Uh-oh. That was stuck. Okay. Time to ditch these guys. Put these guys on the outside. We're 29 now. Rock and roll. New, decent. New. You can do a little repair here.
pack is getting too heavy to carry.
Okay, we're still alive. Military grade and stem. Okay, let's see here. Focus, Astrid. Nope, we don't want a flashlight. Oh, I'm starting to get sleepy. We still have about half an hour left.
I think I can use this.
Okay. Oh boy. Yeah, I can definitely feel myself getting sleepier. Let's try to push on then for a little bit longer. But we might wrap up about 15 minutes early. Oh, score. Oh, raw meat. And another box of crackers. 14 crackers.
This'll come in handy.
Yeah, we'll leave that. Ooh, yeah, I don't think I'm going to make it another half an hour. I think I'm pretty low energy. We feel lucky. 15% poison. No poison. Yeah, I think we're happy with our rabbit mix. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna probably admit defeat here. I'm just getting tired, and should get some. Should probably been staying up late the last couple nights. I probably should just force myself to get some early sleep. So we'll probably do that. You know what? Maybe I will do something a little different tonight. Before we wrap up. Okay, so... take our stuff out here. Oh, another raid, just when we were thinking about possibly wrapping up early. Hey, welcome in, Tormuse.
Are you gonna awoo?
Yeah, so I think what we'll probably do, we are, thank you Raiders for coming in, thank you Tormuse, if you're new to this channel, we are doing this challenge. Oh, we're really loaded. Really need to find some saplings and make ourselves a travois. It's just not good stuff right now. But yeah, so that's our current challenge. If you want to use the generator yourself to make your own custom challenges, you can also do that. And yeah, and this is my bio. I'm a writer, I'm a former computer games programmer, and I am a longtime D&D player and TLD player, and currently back in school doing my 4th degree, this one in Library and Information Studies. I was applying for some scholarships over the last week, and realized when rereading the university website that we no longer refer to it as library science, and we refer to this as library and information studies. It's like, well, we lost our science? We're like not a science anymore? Which I always thought was funny when we were a science. Okay, so let's see what we got here. We do want to drop this. And, oh, that's right. We also have, that's probably the source of our problems here, right? 20 kilos of, or 20 pieces of wood. Yeah, that would probably do it. Let's do some fun reading here. Is this done? This is done. Do some fun reading. Everything we learned about archery, we learned in a book. Look, we're so book smart now. Oh, we're out of water. Okay. Yeah, we're in Broken Railroad now. We forged last stream. So we have arrowheads. We don't have enough saplings though, so we have no we don't have saplings, so we have no more. We have 2 arrows, really, that's it. We hopefully will find some more broken arrows and make some more, well, even if we find more broken arrows, we need to find some arrow shafts is what we need to find. So
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
okay, so then we really should use up those sticks too. Okay. Yeah, I think we might be tempted to hunt a deer. Well, hunting deer is easy with a bow. Well, comparatively easy with a bow. Hunting the bear, also good. We don't know if there's timber wolves. There may be timber wolves if we get there. But yeah, I haven't been to Sundered Pass yet, so I really don't know what to expect. Other than I hear there are a lot of timber wolves. So. Okay, let's read another hour. Archery 2 already. Yay. Oh, we need to remember to cook the actual meat. Okay, what else can we drop off here? Well, we're not going anywhere. Too full. What's next? Okay. Okay. So I think we'll do something a little bit different at the end of the stream, before we read poetry. I was going to wait until next week, but I think I might do it this week. This week is just early sneak peek. So, for school project, we've been writing a Zork-like adventure, text adventure game. Which is a little bit overachieving, but hey. It's a good way to integrate all the different parts of the class. But yeah, I got it up and running somewhat. some more things I have to work on, but... Still 52. Hmm. Okay, let's see what we got here. "28 days. We survived. 28 days. Okay. Oh, poem request. Okay. We will get cracking on these different requests. Okay, so we do have a poem request. I did want to... I'll read the poem. Then we'll do something else as well as a bonus. Poem chooser. Yeah, we did a Babbage one last night. Let's do something else. At the End of Poetry. Okay, we'll do that one. So this is from The Lost Country of Sight, published by Anhinga Press in 2008. We talked about the cover, actually, earlier today, earlier in the stream. Someone had a couple other questions about the cover, and so we talked a little bit more about the background to the cover, how it came about, why I chose that image, and what its tie to the book is. But we're going to read a poem midway through the book called At the End of Poetry. And because I'm tired, I'll wear my glasses. At the end of poetry, first the high, brilliant sky in its perfect cold, the snow laid down in drifts as thin as flame, and the last taste of barbed wire rusting on the post, almost gone. From the memory of one thing comes another, grief embodied in a scarf whipped free by the wind, the red-tailed hawk spun in the distant sun, the smallest of satellites, the frozen earth, complete with tiny lakes of glass. Here, almost invisible against the deafening fields, the remains of a small boat sunk low in the drained slough, forgotten but for the crows and the few final reeds that persist in its shade. These are journeys we never take, but fold back over again, clippings of fires, wars, deaths, rebirths. At night the coals settle in the stove, the kettle steams. Outside, always a man in a heavy coat, with a lantern in hand, moving through the dark toward the whitening ghosts of trees. So one of the things I find really fascinating is I wrote this book back in 2008, long before TLD, right? And every time I read this, I think this is TLD. This is like, how many like references could I build into the game, even though I didn't know I was I wasn't referencing the game, but it ends up like the game. One of the reasons why I enjoy the game so much is it strikes this really sweet spot in terms of that sense of being out in a vast wintry land in perfect cold, things in decay, things lost, and the sense of time disappearing, and yet what remains is just a figure moving through the snow with a light, trying to find their way through this blizzard. And so I think it really is just influenced by my a significant part of my childhood was spent in Saskatchewan, Canada, and some of it in more rural parts. And so I had a chance to really be out there in this. And then when we were in Scouts, we'd go out camping in some of these remote places too, both in the summer and in the winter. So I think a lot about these type of images of like the Canadian plains and the prairies. But I also feel it really resonates with TLD. I mean, it's just like you've got the snow, you've got barbed wire fences, you've got rust everywhere, you've got these frozen lakes, these fields, even the boats, and the crows and the reeds and the coals in the stove and the man in the heavy coat, the lantern in hand, moving through the dark towards the whitening ghosts of trees. It feels very TLD, Okay, so I think that's our poem for tonight. I did want to we'll take like 5 minutes to do a little demo as well, of something I've been working on for one of my classes, and let's see if I can get this set up so I can share it. Let's see if this will work. Okay, so I guess we have to add another source here. Window capture. Let's see, turn all. Is it capturing it? Does it capture it? Nope. Doesn't capture it. Okay. Then I think we'll have to go with the other route, which is that we do it not as a... Let's see here. Cancel. We will do this instead as a... not as a window, but a... something else. Oh, we'll do it as the display capture. That'll probably be easier. Nope, we don't have it. Okay. Wrong one. Load that one. No, not what we want. Come on, folks. Should be easier. One more try. It used to work. You used to be able to grab that. I wonder why I can't do that. Is it because it's on the same screen as... No. Oh, there we go. So this is oops, sorry. This is the little mini Zork game that we are working on right now. Oops, let's see if I can get myself into position here. We'll bring this in a little bit. I can move it over to the side here. Okay, yeah. So this is for a Python class. So we called it the Lost Temple of Pythagoras. Terrible pun. Yeah, in the end, you actually have to fight a giant python. We haven't gotten that far yet. So yeah, so I've written it so you can do you can go the different directions. You can attack the skeleton. Oops. Attack the skeleton. Attack the skeleton with your fist because we don't have a weapon right now. The skeleton wounds you with its sword. You can choose not to list the skeleton, and you can just say attack. And it knows, since there's an enemy in the room, that that's who you want it to attack. Let's see, what do we have in our inventory? You don't have anything. Not yet. Nick Lift asked for... Yeah. So anyways, you can leave, actually. We haven't made it so you can't get out of the combat, so you really can just abandon the combat and run away. And you can go east and you find, like, it's really just 5 rooms, right? And you can read the riddle, but we really haven't implemented that yet. The riddle seems to be about a fish. I just put some filler in. You could do, I don't think you can do jump. Yeah, you try to jump, nothing happens. You can try to go up. You can't move there. You can try to eat the riddle, and you don't have a riddle to eat. You can take the riddle. You can try at least. You don't see a riddle here, but there is a riddle here, so that doesn't, really we should respond a little bit more contextually here. And then let's see, go... No, we want to go east, east. Oh, we see a sword in a stone. And then we're going to just, because we haven't made it difficult, you can just take the sword. So, yeah. And now you can go west. You can go west. West. It's so simple right now. And now you can attack the skeleton with your sword, right? And it knows that you have a weapon now. So it's like you slash... you can attack again. Yeah, I know. It's like these are really mostly place filler descriptions written very quickly by one of the other people on my team. And now I have it set up so when you kill the skeleton, it turns into a pile of bones. Look at that. And you can take pile of bones. Oh, wait a sec. Can you take it? Take a pile of bones? Maybe it's that. Yeah, you add a pile of bones to your inventory. I need to fix that because now it says it should be just pile of bones. So I'll have to fix that. And anyways, you can eat a pile of bones. Why? And you can drink your sword because I haven't prevented you from, well, actually, oh, maybe you can't. Oh, we don't have anything. What happened to our sword? Oh, we drank our sword and it didn't do anything. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to add some more like variants on that. Okay, what else do we have here? North. You can take all, and you add it to the inventory. So actually, yeah, I tested out earlier. You can take the sword, take the gem, you can drop them. You can drop all, and it would drop everything that you picked up, and then you can take all, and it will take it all. Yeah, so I mean, it's very, very simple. You can go for the commands, or you can type help, and it'll give you a list of commands. You can look, and it just repeats the description. We don't have directional looking working yet. I have to add that in. So like if you look east, it just says there's nothing remarkable about the east. Let's see, examine sword. Yeah, we don't have any of those extra details in there. You can do about, and it will give a direct list of the people who worked on the game. Yeah, and then, oh, you can also do things like you can, instead of attack, you can kill. So you can kill skeleton. The skeleton's already dead. Why are you still attacking the corpse? Right, so you could kill bear. There is no bear to attack. No, I think I've missed the... There's a place where it is removing it from inventory, but it's not giving a comment that it did it. So, and you shouldn't be able to drink the sword. It's just wrong. So I will have to add some attributes to the items, but I'm having a different teammate be responsible for the items, just so that each person on our team is actually doing some initial code, even if I end up doing a lot of adjusting and integrating things in to make it work better. They need to feel like they did some initial work. So, yeah. Let's see. To drink milk. You don't have milk to drink. Will this have a Balrog? This has a secret room, which we haven't defined, but we don't have it defined as to how to get into the secret room. And then once you are in the secret room, you will fight the giant python, obviously because this is for Python class. We will defeat the giant python, and then you'll have access to the exit. Now, our schedule is such that we're expected to do our project proposal on Monday. And we're already at this stage where we've got a semi-functioning prototype. So I think we'll have time to add in a lot of bells and whistles and to do a lot of other fun stuff with this. So, yeah, so I'm having fun with this. Yeah. Yeah, I think, anyways, it's kind of fun. And then, it just exits out. Yeah. So anyways, early stages. A lot of it is just like simple at the beginning, just so that we have proof of concept, work out all the mechanics, and then we'll expand it to add in additional content as we have time and interest in doing so. And then I think after the class, I may like fill it out a little bit more. I don't think it will ever be a, I don't know. It's not like I'm trying to make NetHack, right? I'm not like determined to make something on that scale. But in terms of having something in my portfolio of like cool things I have done, I think it would be nice to have a project like this under the belt as well. Because I do a lot of like Twine games and I do a lot of JavaScript generators and tools, and Python's relatively new for me, so I think like having a project like building a game is kind of good. Will there be random generation, or will it be the same game each time? It's a good question. For the class, I don't think we made some decisions. Like although attack rolls are random, the damage rolls are fixed. So damage is always fixed amount. Otherwise, we get into the situation where it would just be back and forth with the skeleton, and the python would be even worse If you like, imagine a fist fight with the Python at the end, it would just take forever to actually defeat the Python, and you would probably die first, which is the reason why you should get the sword. But we thought about adding a healing potion into the game. We thought about adding some other stuff, and I want to add a ton of Easter eggs. I want to add a lot of stuff. Hey, Linneus. Yeah, we're just getting ready to wrap up. You missed the something. Well, what I want to do is I want to work in. I want to work as a professional academic librarian, but the particular direction I want to work in is the field is like digital humanities or digital scholarship, which is really just saying that I want to be a librarian who also helps other people use digital tools, resources, methods, programming languages to aid them in their research, to help them craft, resources and tools or strategies for being able to engage in large data studies, things like that. But part of that is also because digital humanities includes things like games and game studies and game development, that I want to also be part of like the intersection between creative writing and technology. And so, it's not that I want to step back completely into game dev, but I do miss working on projects. And so, AI. So yeah, Linneus, let's see. We'll give you a short sort of view of what we just did here. I think it should still pop up if I run this. Let's see. Yeah, you can see it. So yeah, this is a little like I'm taking a Python class this summer, and my little group decided that we were going to do a Zork-like adventure game, and so so I was just showing off what we got so far. We're still very early stages, but we've got like directions working, and you can attack. I think, can you look at skeleton? Do we have the description of this? Okay, I need to hook that up so that it actually gives the description of the skeleton. I forgot to do that for the monsters. So, but you can attack the skeleton. But it turns out you're terrible with fighting with your fists. You can attack without using. You could use other words, like you could say hit skeleton, and that will work. Oh, you got a critical hit. You landed a solid right hook. And let's say maybe you want to kill the skeleton. You could say that too. And you've slayed. Oh, second critical hit. You punch the skeleton to death. Yeah, and then you can go north, and you can take the gemstone. You can go south. You can go east. And you see that they form a riddle, so you can read a riddle, but we don't really have anything implemented for that, so you just, it's about a fish. I don't think it'll actually be about a fish, but, and then you can find the sword here. I want to set this up so it's actually more of a challenge to get the sword, but right now you can just take the sword. You can do things like you can say, I'm going to eat pancakes, and you don't have a pancake to eat. You can say, kill robots, and there are no robots here to attack. You can say, look at my nose, and it won't handle that properly, but and you can jump, nothing happens. Yeah, so there's some different forms of interactivity. You can drop all, and it will drop all the things in your inventory, and then you can take all, and it will pick them all back up again. Uh-oh, no. I think I have to fix that. The take all is not working. It's not doing all of them. So I have to fix that. And then can try to think what else. You can do commands, and it'll tell you all the things you can do. You can say help. It'll say the same thing. You can do about, and it tells us who worked on this project. You can do inventory, and let's see. Yeah. For the purposes of the summer class, we really had just like, technically, our project proposal, not the code, the project proposal is due Monday. So we do a presentation on the project proposal on Monday, and our deadline to turn in our project is August 16th. Right? So that's 2.5 weeks. So there's no way that anyone could go from concept to a finished, really robust game. That I think for 3 people to have enough work to do that, especially since it's an intro to programming class, intro to Python class. As much as I would like to take on Panda 3D or Pygame or something like that, it's not really realistic to expect the other people on my team to be able to do that. And in fact, one of them just had some really bad news, and so there's a death in the extended family, and so she's not really going to be available at all. So that's kind of the challenge that we face, is that, you know, we actually have a small team, a really small team of 3 people, and one of them is not really available, and one of them hasn't really programmed before. Learning quickly, but is pretty new to it. So yeah, so as much as I'd like to take on a bigger challenge, I think that would be after the class. I might write a more complicated game using a different library. This one's like completely not based on any libraries whatsoever. So yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately, here's the truth. It's like we're human beings, and loss, illness, death, they're part of the existence that we have, and we can't really control the timing on those things. So bad things, sad things happen to us, and you know, it doesn't matter what your plans or your schedule is for school or for vacation. Sometimes you don't get a choice, and you just have to navigate through hard things. And so you know, I'm hoping that she's doing well and that she's got the support she needs. And we told her that we'd basically, you know, we'd pick up the slack. You know, we'd take on the things and give her proper credit for what she's worked on so far. But yeah, I mean, the reality is it's really going to be like 2 people for a 3-person team, you know, for the time being. She's done her work in advance, but she won't be able to help us out from here on out. And we're, like I said, we're basically a whole week ahead of schedule, because we started working on the concept early, and we're excited enough about it that we would been doing some early work on it. And I've been able to dedicate some time, you know, to play around with these ideas in Python. But yeah. I don't think the assignment really is for us to do a full-blown commercial ready game. It's just proof of concept. Yeah. Yeah, but I also like doing sort of this retro text adventure game thing, because I think that there's more room for comedy in there as well. Like, I can write funny interactions, like special cases for some of the commands, and create a lot of little Easter eggs and little funny things that can happen in there. Yeah, so I feel like that's kind of fun to do. And sometimes if you get wrapped up in sort of the workflow for a more formal game engine or game approach, you might not necessarily find that you have the ability to customize things quite the same way. Yeah, I mean, this is like we hacked this together in 1 week, in less than a week. So, I mean, I'm pretty happy with sort of the rudimentary level of what it is, but yeah, and exactly, and that's why I figured it's a good way for me to teach the other people on my team, some like deeper understanding of like I got them to migrate from simple data structures to thinking about working with objects, like object-oriented programming, and kind of help them understand sort of some of the limitations of some of the approaches that they were doing, but also pointing them to ways in which we can externalize some of the content in text files so that it's easier to expand, it's easier to do things. Like I like having text file, like configuration files outside for the objects so that when the objects are created, they read a configuration file and they read in sort of these key pairs that then help them establish sort of the attributes for that class, that object, in a way that if you were to hard code it, you're really fixed in terms of what you can do. But if you set it up so it's automated, then you can expand what attributes are available for that object easily without needing to change your code. And in the code later on, if you decide that you want to have access to some additional attributes, it's easy just to modify the text files to make certain that happens. We could go a step further and set it up in a database, or we could set it up in sort of a spreadsheet of some sort and then interact with that. But all that I think is more work than is necessary for a really simple proof of concept game. Like five rooms, really 5 or 6 rooms max. I don't think we're doing much more than that. And I think like adding in sort of the functionality to manage the, handle the puzzle solving, handle some, whether they're little logic puzzles or they're like NPC interactions where you can talk to people. I don't think we want extensive conversations, but we want little things that make it really feel like you as the player have a lot of control and a lot of options available. So, and if it's something that's enjoyable, to keep expanding it a little bit at a time. But I mean, I'll say that for me as a creative writer who's also a former professional computer games programmer, I like sort of the leisurely approach of working on interactive fiction games in Twine, where if I want to flex my coding muscles, I can behind the scenes. But at the same time, the emphasis is ultimately on writing an interesting story, creating interesting characters and descriptions, and creating interesting interactions. And so I find that that's more rewarding than necessarily having to build. I'm not someone that likes to build platformers and kind of games that are really more driven around motor skills, mainly because I'm usually terrible at those games. So which is funny because like shooting in the Long Dark is very much a motor skill. So, but I do like emphasis where narrative, creativity, construction of interesting characters and interactions and surprises and mystery are a big part of it. Yeah. Anyways, I've rambled on. I was going to go to bed early. Now I'm going to bed late. So or actually going to bed. I'm going to bed a little bit late, but this is about the usual time where we wrap up. So thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. We're going to go find someone to raid. Yeah, these things always happen. But thank you for requesting that poem earlier. Save me from having to do another poem right away. Long Dark. Speckle. Disgruntled Traveler. Hugh. Congalus. Wow, we're really at the bottom of the night, right? So there's okay, someone is doing whiteout. A lot of Kiwis, a lot of New Zealanders out tonight. Okay. We'll try Speckle. Wow, this guy's got a lot of followers. But this person could be fun. Learning a lot of New Zealand streamers, I guess. Okay, so we're going to visit a New Zealand streamer. Kiwi streamer by the name of Speckle. Currently doing whiteout, and we'll just hang out and see how they're doing. I'm going to probably crash pretty soon, so take care, folks. We'll be back. Not tomorrow night, because I'm running D&D on Thursday night this week instead of my usual Tuesday night. So it will be Friday night. I'll be back on Friday night. See you on Friday.